Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Paris and I'm the author of the Magi trilogy. This over here, oops, if you can see him, is Fritzy. He's conveniently placed himself in the middle of my unmade bed, so we're going for the messy bed look today. I think he opened his eyes and immediately closed them when I tried to show you guys him. That being said, I've been a little bit busy out. So basically, I have a really bad habit, and that is I film these videos the morning I'm going to post them. I really need to get better about breaking that habit, and I am working on it, I promise. I'm actually hoping to record next week's video over this weekend. So, hold me to it. Although I guess by the time I post the video, the deed will already have been done, so you can scold me in the comments next week. That being said, I'm a bit busy today with school, etc. I also have a lot of surprises that I'm sharing in the next couple weeks. Tom, Theater Memories, McKenna and I are going to be co-authors next Thursday, less than a week at this point. And then 2 weeks from today, I'm announcing something huge on my page, and then the day after that as well, I have another big announcement. So I've been doing a lot of prepping of behind the scenes stuff, but I don't want to have you guys miss out. So I am going to be sharing a speech that I gave, or more so recorded, for my speech and communications class this week. It is on giant African land snails. I hope you enjoy, and please let me know. Would you give me an A? Because I haven't gotten a grade back yet. And this is my keyword outline. Florida has been invaded by gastropods. Or, more specifically, Broward County, Florida has joined 2 other counties in the state with an active quarantine in regards to giant African land snails. Now, a quarantine against snails doesn't seem like a big deal, particularly when it's only in 3 counties out of the entire United States. But this is actually the 3rd separate instances of quarantine that Florida has enacted, and the USDA cited this last June that the previous 2 eradication attempts for these snails took over a decade and $1 million each. So it is actually a very costly endeavor that they are partaking in. Due to their invasive nature, giant African land snails cannot be owned as pets within the United States. However, their smaller cousins, like Sir Reginald here, can be. Meet Reggie, my pet snail, who, while he's quite a bit smaller than his giant African land snail cousins, he is behaviorally very similar. And his behavior is actually a great understanding to why Florida has deemed these snails something that needs to be eradicated. Because while snails can't bite, envenomate, or attack, they do have other so-called negative traits, which is why they have been basically decided to be eradicated against. Snails love to eat, and like most animals, when they eat, they're well fed, they're healthy, they're going to have babies, they're going to lay eggs. Now, I have purposely withheld the word mate from this because snails can and usually do mate, but they don't have to. Snails are hermaphrodites, meaning that they have both male and female reproductive organs. So technically speaking, one snail can have babies by itself. And when snails lay eggs, it's not just 1 or 2, it's between 100 and 500, up to 6 times a year, meaning one giant African land snail could have 3,000 babies by itself. And these babies are probably going to want to eat. Snails, like I said before, eat quite a bit. They eat general vegetation, fruits, vegetables, stuff like that. Reggie here loves mangoes. And the interesting thing about mangoes is this is about the size of a giant African land snail. Maybe a little smaller. So you can see between the 2, if I can, see him well enough, right here, there's a bit of a size difference. Giant African land snails have a list of about 500 different foods that they can eat. Most of Florida's natural growing wildlife actually falls within that list. So most of the food and most of the plants that they're eating are just naturally growing and being eaten by these snails. If one were to have a garden in Florida, maybe you're growing mangoes in your garden, snails could be eating it. And while on a case-by-case basis, most gardeners don't like when animals are eating their vegetables that they're growing, part of why this is considered such a big issue is giant African land snails can carry a parasite called rat lungworm, which causes meningitis in both humans and animals. In an article with the New York Times this past June, they cited that you can contract this disease and parasite just from coming in contact with the snail slime. Meaning if a snail, slid across a mango that you didn't wash correctly afterwards, you have the risk of getting sick. So at this point, giant African land snails, they eat quite a bit of food that's, just throughout Florida, they have the risk of causing disease. And then some of the plants that they're eating, maybe these plants themselves are endangered. Maybe these plants are just, some beautiful plant outside somebody's business. Whatever it is, they are quote unquote destroying some of the environment in Florida. Like most invasive species, giant African land snails don't have any natural predator. There's nothing out there that's actively hunting them, that's controlling the population. So due to these reasons, they have been declared unwelcome in Florida, and they are now working on eradicating or removing them. There's no natural habitat for these snails to be relocated to. It isn't a matter of, capturing them and releasing them somewhere else. Ultimately, what they need to do is just get rid of them. Now, because there's no natural habitat for them in the United States, despite them very well thriving in Florida, there are some theories of how they've gotten here. The National Public Radio suggests a few. One of them is there have been numerous cases reported where agents at the airport have confiscated snails from people's luggage or carry-on. Another instance or possible theory is that if somebody brought some exotic plant home with them, maybe there were some snail eggs in the plant. Regardless of how they got here, they are being removed. And it's ultimately come down to quite literally hand collecting. Snail hunting parties is what they have labeled it. They basically go through and look to collect these snails. Because you can't really lure a snail in with a trap. You can't really try to coax them to you, and you can't really see them from a distance either. So hand collecting is really the best option for them. Residents in these quarantined counties are required to report the snails if they see one, as well as comply with these snail hunting parties. Basically, what the officials are doing at this point is they're going through leaf litter, they're looking in nooks and crannies, under rocks, anywhere these snails could be hiding, and they're also looking in the soil as well, because snails do lay their eggs in the ground, so it's not just getting rid of the adult snails, it's getting rid of the babies and the eggs as well. How long will this take? Officials don't really know, and there hasn't been any statement on this. As I said, the previous two eradication efforts took about a decade each. So the first one, the most recent declaration of snail-free was just back in 2021. And these snails first appeared in 2011. So it's most likely going to be time-consuming, and it's going to take a bit of effort. It's going to take compliance with the rules, and it is going to come down to snail hunting parties. However long it takes to get rid of them, other snails like Reggie, who is climbing out of his bowl, are safe to continue thriving and eat their mangoes for dinner. Reggie was obviously the star of that speech. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Whatever time it is, whether it's morning, evening, or night, have a great day.